I'm Malcolm Van Delst, and this is a continuation of the Low Self-Esteem Reading Room, aka Loser, an experimental illustrated novella about a man losing his sanity. Last week, Kyle's brother read about Jess and her dog surviving the big blow-up and a nuclear winter, and Kyle read about a child floating in a mysterious fog and meeting a unicorn. Dandelion language. Scene 5. Notes. Arnold is very good to Naomi. He loves her unconditionally. She treats him horribly. They have been together for 10 years. Something about Naomi. Naomi at work as a waitress in an upscale place like Rain City Grill. Naomi is old. So is the restaurant, for that matter. There's a bucket collecting water from a leaking ceiling, and it's full of low-class people there on Groupons. They tip on the discount, even though Naomi and her coworkers have to work harder to serve them their special taster meals. Na na, na 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 na, na na. This is supposed to be, I'll try and do this rhythmically. Na, na na na, na na na, na na, na na, na 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 na, na. This is not a novel. Remember, this is not a novel. This is not literature. This is not art. Scratch that. This is art. This is language changing. This is my language. This is the language of the unschooled, dandelion language. This is the weed that will feed you after Monsanto has killed your garden. This is the language, the secret language of me, the secret language like that of Japanese women. I am opening my mouth to show it to you, my heart. This is the language of a personal way of thinking. Arrows and targets. Huh. How about arrows disappearing into a nothingness as they aim at shape-shifting animals? Animals that know no boundaries. Animals you have to get to know before you can kill. Animals you have to know intimately, making sure that they are not you. This is the language of a different approach through life. This is not the language of sperm and automatic assault rifles. This is not the language of power as it is so often portrayed. This is the language of water. This is the language of easing into cracks, meandering, flowing where you can, and taking what is available. This is not the language of strength as we know it, of strength as we commonly see it. This is the language of asymmetrical warfare, of long, long searches that rarely end and often change, of a single-minded, multi-viewpointed entity that refuses to be killed, that refuses to have its gifts unreceived. This is water on your back. This is sweat. This is rain. This is dew, mist, and moisture-laden air. This is your mother. Listen. End scene 5. Notes. Scene 6. Notes. Naomi was a dancer, very famous, but once her career was over, demons took over. She had no way to exorcise these demons, no love, no adulation. She lost her community. She became a waitress. Naomi's home is filled with pictures of herself. Arnold loves her for the woman she was. He loves her for the woman she is now too, but he can't reach her. End scene 6. On control. Scene 7. Morning. Naomi is sitting in her living room having coffee. The apartment is small. The galley kitchen can be seen to the right of where Naomi sits. Her dining table is covered with papers and a computer. She sits on a couch, staring absently into space. She's back on stage, dancing Lulu from her most famous show, hurling her body across the space, grunting, shrieking, naked with fake blood pouring from her mouth and across her chest. She shakes her head. She has never danced this. She has never danced anything but classical jazz, a formalized ballet jazz fusion for which the company she had danced with, Les Ballets Davis, was famous. Her moves, her characters, precise and perfect, never wild, deranged, and tearing up the stage. Yet this image, this memory of herself with wild hair, naked, fake bleeding, throwing herself against scaffolding, props, and male dancers dressed as monks, monks wearing robes with cutouts at the crotch, revealing spiked metal codpieces, which are apparently the source of the blood pouring from her lips. She shakes her head and grabs the copy of Interview from the table beside her. Best not to give the mind time to fuck up. End scene 7. Notes 2. Scene 8. Note. Scene 7 isn't working, it's flat. There's something about Naomi's father, something about pain. Her father. Naomi was frightened by him, frightened by his absence. Her father was a truck driver, but even when he was home, he went to his workshop and built furniture, fixed appliances, and tools he used to keep their large property groomed and tidy. She had never talked to him except once when she was 14 or so to argue about the Bible. She didn't marry and had no marketable skills. End scene 8. A woman and her books. The woman falls asleep. The anti-book, Naomi, drops from her hands. Next morning. This is the same scene as above. The woman's tea things sit beside her chair. The room is bright with sun. Woman enters. She's dressed in the same clothes she wore yesterday, a dark colored dress, nylons, and flat black lace-up shoes. She lifts her teacup and pot and takes them to the kitchen. She fills her water kettle and puts it on the stove, empties and rinses the teapot, puts 2 fresh teaspoons of mint leaves in, and gets a new cup from the cupboard. She stands, waiting for the water to boil. Just before it does, she turns off the stove, pours the water into her teapot, and carries it along with her fresh cup back to her living room. She sets the teapot and cup down, picks up the fallen book and puts it beneath the other 2, grabs Alien Annis Nin and opens it. Alien Annis Nin is a series of short entries, mostly labeled by color or colorless instead of a date.